When I was in high school, my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom, answered the phone and spoke to a person who claimed to be researching my father's family. My mother, a friendly Midwestern woman, was happy to help this lady by answering a few questions. The woman explained that her maiden name was Near and she had been doing this research for many years. She claimed she would send my mom a copy of her book if Mom would send her $20 in a self-addressed manila envelope. My mother was thrilled. She sent the check off in the mail that day. When my father came home, my mom could not wait to tell him the news that he'd be getting some Near family history from a woman in Akron, Ohio. She explained about the phone call and sending the money to Mrs. Mary Frazier. My father's reaction was not good. He was not as trusting as my mom. He thought she had just been hoodwinked. He was also not happy that she answered questions about his family. He chastised my mother and said she was too naive and had wasted money. He was certain that this was a con. After 6 weeks, a package appeared in the mail, addressed to my mother. It was a handwritten manila envelope, and in it was a leather-bound book. It was Our Canadian Nears and Early Kin. It was 300 pages and dated back to before 1670. She couldn't wait for my father to return home. When Dad arrived home that evening, my mother slapped the book into his hand and said, "Now what do you have to say?" My father thought he was Pennsylvania Dutch. His ancestors had spent time in Pennsylvania, but they originated in Germany. We were half German. Karl Nair, who immigrated in 1710 from Germany, had an amazing story. Surviving so many hardships, it was amazing the family made it at all. Famine, drought, and hostile troops in Germany, they left for England. England, which was now overrun with German refugees, would not let them disembark. They waited on a boat while their reverend brokered a deal with the British Navy to harvest pitch and tar in America for their fare. Shortly after their New York arrival, they discovered the pine trees could not be used to create pitch and tar. The English Queen stopped all supplies. A hard 1710 winter cost them many lives, but fortunately, the U.S. Governor Hunt helped and half of the group survived. In the spring of 1911, my seventh great-grandfather headed to Pennsylvania to work as a tanner and horse courier. The book explains how Carl's grandsons gained land in Canada, fighting for the English. 5 generations of Nears then farmed in Canada. My father's parents were both born in Canada outside Toronto. In the 1920s, with 5 brothers working on the farm, my grandfather found a job in the United States at U.S. Rubber. My father read this book from cover to cover. He had to apologize to my mom. She never let him forget. If she hadn't answered the phone, we never would have had this amazing book.